There was once a man who had 3 sons, the youngest of whom was called Simpleton. He was scorned and despised by the others and kept in the background. The eldest son was going into the forest to cut wood, and before he started, his mother gave him a nice sweet cake and a bottle of water to take with him, so that he might not suffer from hunger and thirst. In the woods, he met an old gray man.
Good day, young man. Give me a piece of your cake from your pocket and a drop of your pie. I am so hungry and thirsty.
If I give you my cake for wine, I should have enough myself. Be off with you!
He left the little man standing there and went on his way. But he had not been long at work cutting down a tree, but before he made a false stroke, he dug his axe into his own arm and was obliged to go home to have it bound. The second son now had to go into the forest to cut wood, and like the eldest, his mother gave him a nice sweet cake and a bottle of wine. In the same way, the little gray man met him and asked for a piece of his cake and a drop of his wine.
If I give you that, I shall also my milk. Now be off with you without my way.
His punishment, however, was not delayed. After a few blows at the tree, he hit his own leg and had to hobble home.
You know nothing about it. And your fathers and your brothers have only come to harm by it. You should just leave it alone.
Please let me try.
You think you can do better than your brothers?
Yes, Father, let me try. Please let me try.
Okay, fine. But you'll be the wiser when you get hurt. Off you go.
His mother gave him a cake which was only mixed with water and baked in the ashes, and a bottle of sour beer. When he reached the forest, like the others, he met the little gray man.
Give me a piece of your cake from your pocket and a drop of your wine. I am so thirsty and hungry.
I only have a cake baked in ashes, but if it was over a nice sunspell, we could sit down and eat it together.
So they sat down, but when Simpleton pulled out his cake, it was a nice sweet cake, and his sour beer was turned into good wine. So they ate and drank.
Because you have such a kind heart and are willing to share your goods, I shall give you good luck. There stands a big tree at the side of the forest. Cut it down, and you will find something at the roots.
Simpleton cut down the tree, and when it fell, lo and behold, a goose was sitting among the roots, and its feathers were pure gold. He picked it up and took it with him to an inn, where he meant to stay the night. The landlord had 3 daughters who saw the goose and were very curious as to what kind of bird it could be, and wanted to get one of its golden feathers.
Just gives me an opportunity for me to pull out one of its golden feathers.
And when Simpleton went outside, she took hold of its wing to pluck out a feather, but her hand had stuck fast and she could not get away.
Sister, why do you hold that goose so?
Do not take hold.
Why? So you can have a feather to yourself? Let me have a feather too.
She had hardly touched her sister when she herself was held fast. Finally, the 3rd sister came with the same intention, but the others screamed.
For goodness sake, keep away. Keep away. Why should I not be there if they are there?
So she ran up, but as soon as she touched her sister, she had to stay hanging on to them, and they all had to pass the night like this. In the morning, Simpleton took up the goose under his arm without noticing the 3 girls hanging on behind. In the middle of the field, they met a parson. Then she took hold of the hand of the youngest girl to pull her away, but no sooner had she touched her than she felt herself held fast, and she too had to run behind. Soon afterwards, the sexton came up, and seeing her master, the parson, treating on the heels of the 3 girls, cried out in amazement.
Hello, Your Reverence. Where are you going so fast? Don't forget that we have a guest name.
As the party of five, each behind the other, tramped on, two peasants came along the road carrying their hoes. So now there are 7 people running behind Simpleton and his goose. By and by they reached a town where a king ruled whose only daughter was so sullen that nothing and nobody could make her laugh. So the king had proclaimed that whoever could make her laugh should marry her. When Simpleton heard this, he took his goose with all his following before her, and when she saw these 7 people running one behind another, she burst into fits of laughter, and it seemed as if she could never stop.
You! I'm mad out before me and be my daughter the princess. What is your name? Simpleton, why do all these people fall behind you? Let you follow. The 7 people that fall behind you. Let me show you. Where did your mother live, do you know?
He's behind you.
Help! Help!
I don't quite remember the story going like this. I thought Simpleton married the princess.
You've got to be kidding me. Me? Marry him? He's a simpleton. I have plans. Now that my father's preoccupied, I'm going to do what I always wanted to do. I'm going to the United States to try out for American Idol.